Good morning. It's lovely to be here with you today and a great pleasure. And today I'm going to discuss and share my views and thoughts about this topic via different lenses, as an example via innovation, via policies, as well as via behavioral changes. And as I was presented it here, so I'm heading the mission called Zero Carbon Future at Business Finland, which means that we aim at enabling a greener and brighter future globally by increasing Finland's global handprint, not handprint, which means a positive climate impact. And we focus on energy transition in industries, transport, mobility, as well as in the cities. And we want to maximize the utilization of digitalization and circularity. Yeah, the alarm bells are ringing actually loudly, and the change has been very, very rapid recently. Some decades ago, we were celebrating global collaboration, democracies, liberalization. And nowadays, unfortunately, there are fewer and fewer democracies left. Time of liberalization is practically over, and nationalism is increasing. But however, the challenges have not vanished anywhere, and they are even greater than ever before. And there's definitely an urgent need for more intensified international collaboration. So somebody needs to stand up. So is it cities? I feel that recently the cities have very much empowered themselves, and they are taking much more substantial role, and as well they are becoming the drivers of the change. And role of the cities and transportation within is crucial when we are reaching and going towards net zero. So urbanization on a global level is definitely intense, and we are practically building a new Paris every week. And soon more than 2/3 of people will be living in cities, and almost close to 3/4 of a planet's emission will come from the cities. And in most of the cities, the main CO2 sources are industries and transportation. Now it changed. And also what I wanted to mention is that also the citizens, as you and me, we are very much challenged to reshape the way we travel and behave and so forth, and also reduce our carbon footprint. And when we are talking about the citizens, then the political decisions become very sensitive and also more difficult. And IPCC has stated also that globally the greenhouse gas emissions is very challenging to reduce those ones, because we are having the continuing growth in passenger and freight activity. And we should find the way how we decouple the increased transportation emissions from the GDP growth. And could cities play a role here? And I wanted to show these 4 lenses here, and this is a study we carried out together with VTT and Nordkapp, and we wanted to analyze cities in different parts of the world. And why I'm showing you this is that I would like all of us to widen our thinking and also to learn how we can benefit much more from the strongholds of each other's and competencies and knowledges in different parts of the world. And if we start from here, from the upper corner here, about the diverse technologies. So here the drivers are very much technologies and people and society. And here the target is a lot to engage in people and business-led initiatives and labs. And the time is from short to mid-term. And often there are cities like London, Seoul, or Singapore land into that territory. And they build smartness on often old and existing infrastructures. And the dominant mode is public-private collaboration. So could we learn from there how to run and have more value add from a tangible cross-industry collaboration amongst the companies and public sector? Then when we go to a right upper corner to equal access, and then the drivers are very much there: sustainability, planetary health, people and societal focus. And the target is very much to build an equal and fair society bottom up, giving the citizens voice in deciding what and how things should be built. And the cities in this sector often combine long-term ambitions with a wide variety, although quite often small-scale pilots. And not surprisingly, Nordic cities are quite often in this field. And we are often aiming at new greenfield developments to build smart experiments as part of urban planning process. So the learning could be here how to drive ambitious, tangible, cross-industry co-development between the companies, public sector, and citizens. And then when we go further, this smart infrastructure sector here. So often the drivers are planetary health, sustainability, but then government and data focus becomes stronger. And focus is often on infrastructural initiatives such as carbon neutral mobility. Often short-term goals with mid-term infrastructure strategies. And the cities from Middle East are often in this part, and they build on high technology utopias. And target is to build and emphasize and strengthen also country and city brands often. And the role of local government as well as corporates is strong and in greenfield developments. But I have to say here that often Nordic and European standards of ethical equal development are not strongly present in this category. So could the learning be here that we can build on focused high technology pilots? And then when we go for the last lens, the fourth lens is here, this effective governance. So the drivers are very much then the technology, government, and data. And the target is to use technology to optimize the governance of mostly large-scale megacities. And here, it's a balance between long-term ambitions and goal-driven projects. Often cities in China are in that block. And not surprisingly, government direction is also strongly present there. And the integration level of technology in everyday life is also high. And large corporations play a crucial role here in pilots at scale. So the learning could be here from focused and high technology projects. So now the question goes then, that based on these four lenses, in which category cities in this region you belong, and where do you want to belong, and with whom do you want to partner up and collaborate with? Okay, when we are talking about the transportation and mobility, this sector supports cities to be, firstly, okay, the writing is a little bit different. Okay, but sustainable and green. And when we are thinking about sustainable or green transportation, the prerequisite is very much there that the energy source palette needs to be multiplied. As an example, by sector coupling, energy system flexibility, fossil-free energy sources, and local energy production. As an example, this kind of energy communities could be there in place. So definitely, in that area, we need to invest in energy system flexibility, local resilience, vehicle to grid, and also home solutions. When we have a look on this smart and connected, we could also say augmented hybrid spaces within that one. So 3 examples of this one. Digital city twins, quantum computing, as well as urban data platforms. And when we have the urban city twins, they use data, analytics, also machine learning to create simulation models. And here, the finding is how to manage smart cities, but also can utilize these platforms for co-creation and co-design with the citizens. In quantum computing, there was quite nearby an exciting example from a city of Seattle. There was a Ford and Microsoft joined their forces and used quantum computing-inspired technology to solve traffic congestion. And then about the urban platforms, they are more like centralized dashboards to eliminate duplicated infrastructures and also avoid partial optimization. And as an example, when we are planning EV charging infrastructure, they have to be developed parallelly to the grid development. And then when we are focusing on people, so definitely, digital transition enables a more transparent and equal world, and it's also a great opportunity for citizen involvement. And now there's definitely a need for a new service model based on human needs. And as an example, due to COVID, this new kind of a rural-urban hybrid life challenges the existing transportation models. So that means that new kind of last and first mile transportation services need to be developed. Then about the resilient and safe, often we refer here to different kind of weather forecasts, flood management, safety, monitoring, etc. And these are definitely not separate items when we think about the transportation sector. So weather conditions are very, very closely linked to, for instance, renewables, development, generation, grid optimization, as well as traffic management. And then last but not least, the dynamic and economically thriving. So we could also say that sustainable city, happy people, happy business, values do matter. And cities need definitely walk the talk. And future cities must have sustainability strategy to cover all areas integrated, including, as an example, water, waste, transportation, mobility, real estate, industries, logistics, and energy systems. And these should not be developed, operated, and, well, definitely implemented in a silos, but we need to have a systemic, holistic viewpoint. And I would like to emphasize the people involvement within this one. So what's next? How to go forward? On a city level, we definitely need to focus on holistic city planning by maximum utilization of digitwins, visualization, simulation, gaming platforms, building information management, etc. And in the transport and mobility sector, we need to have a view on no-brainer electrification, servitization, autonomous driving, database solutions, low-carbon fuels, integration with energy systems, and people involvement. And consumers are all in all, they're very excited about new services, and now it's the role and responsibility of public and private sector to create that kind of new services which provide enjoyable mobility experiences. But keeping also in the mind that all of these new services and solutions need to make our lives easier. And in transportation sector, I would still like to mention a couple of developments to pay attention to in the 5, 10, 15 years' time. Well, the EV development, electrification, again, no-brainer, vehicle-to-grid, grid development, micro-mobility, autonomous vehicles and driving, connectivity, shared mobility, new service models like pooled zero-emission vehicles, intermodal applications, self-driven vehicles, aerial vehicles, compensation models, emission measurement, as well as optimization. And many of these developments need innovation, cross-sectoral collaboration, enabling infrastructures, as well as regulations and public acceptance. And regulations should not be seen as only as an obstacle. It can enable and enhance new innovations, speeding the change. As an example, should we have the lowest CO2 emissions as a driver and a prerequisite when we are implementing new transportation, servicing models, and so forth. And I feel that no country, no city, no region, no company can have all the solutions and can solve these challenges on their own. And that's why we are here today. We need to collaborate more, invest in research, development, innovation, deployment, testing, demonstrations, and piloting. We need the science communities, businesses, municipalities, financiers, and citizens on board. And we as Finland are ready to solve the wicked problems together. And I'm sure and confident that I can also speak on behalf of our Nordic friends and family that we are all ready to collaborate more. So thank you. It was less than 1 minute too much.
Thank you, Helena. Okay, so we move on and continue this block with a panel discussion. The topic is using open data and AI to create sustainable city transportation. To lead us through this discussion, we have a long-standing friend of Nordic Innovation House, Jessica Alba. She is the founder of OptiMobility and Director of Policy and Transport Demand Management at Stanford. She will be joined by Maria Oscott, Deputy CEO at Lindholmen Science Park in Gothenburg, Sweden, and Petter Hauffman, founder and CEO at Ucity. Well, welcome up on stage.
Great. Hey, come on up. Okay, Helena, thank you so much for that wonderful summary of where we've been and where we're going, what we've done well, and all the different components and variation in how we bring our cities to where they are today. I am so happy to be here on stage with you, Helena, and Maria Oscott. I'm just going to share a little bit about Maria. Maria is the Deputy CEO of Lindholmen Science Park, which is an important hub in Gothenburg, Sweden, dedicated to research and development in mobile communication, intelligent vehicles and transport systems, and modern media industry. And some 25,000 people now spend time here every day, a figure that is expected to double in the next few years. And then we have Petter Hauffman, founder and CEO of Ucity, which is developing a state-of-the-art simulation model for sustainable city development. And this product is equipped to understand the urban environment on a profoundly granular level, from real-time visual patterns to public sentiment. It's so great to have you all on the stage with me and to follow up on Helena's speech here. Yeah, so that's great. So over the next 20 minutes or so, we're going to get through some questions, but we want to make it a conversation. So I'm going to prompt a question, but I'd like you to feel comfortable having a conversation rather than just answering. So Helena, how about I start to give this to you? So over the past several decades, roadway capacity and parking supply have often driven the planning and design of urban development. In your current role as thought leader in this area, is the paradigm shifting? And if so, how does sustainable movement of people and goods fit into this new paradigm?
Yeah. Okay, thanks for the question. Yes, definitely I think that the paradigm has shifted and has shifted very, very quickly. And maybe pinpointing for this from the 4 different angles. So firstly, the role change of cities, then about the global shocks we have had, then about the how we are behaving, and then the technology. So I explained a little bit about the role change and not going too much into details of that one, but definitely I think that the cities feel much more their responsibility, but also they are nowadays in a more competitive landscape, because like I said, the people and also businesses want to locate in the areas which share the same values what they are doing. So they really have to focus on that one, and also providing more quality of life. So that is definitely one thing. And then also from the global shocks point of view, and especially now COVID and war in Ukraine, there has been a great change in lifestyles, how we were spending much more time at home and remote working, etc. So that is also a challenge to the cities, and they have to respond somehow and provide new services related to working or then service deliveries or whatever is happening. And then, like I mentioned about the quality of life and also the role of consumers and the younger generation. I have a huge faith in younger generation because they are very much more living according to their values. So that puts also some pressure to the cities. And then also from the digitalization, definitely different kind of new governances. Digitalization is winning what they have to do in order to plan the more holistic system. So yes.
Yeah, no. Nothing?
No.
Can you hear, so you can hear me? Can we hear?
It's green? Yeah.
No, now it's working.
Okay, perfect. Well, yes, it's definitely shifting, but I am still a bit worried because the collaboration that we need is not there. I see urban planners are not working with transportation planners to really make a change in the cities, because we see that the built environment is connected to the transportation, and the transportation is connected to the built environment, but we don't really see how they are planned together. We don't have any strategies to really plan those in collaboration. So I would like to see much more collaboration within local authorities to really collaborate on the strategies and how we can, well, build smart cities, but also cities for innovation for city development. We can use digital twins, we can use lots of data to really find the ways, but we are not using it. So that's still a worry for me.
Petter?
Not to get too larger.
No,
We can.
it's just working.
Okay. Do everybody hear me? Yeah. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so it's a complicated area, of course. It is a very big scale and very slow moving organism, and in the transportation sector, of course, it's a very slow area where you have 5, 10, 30-year perspective, and you make not so fast moving decisions. And of course, today the whole landscape is shifting, so you have to make more rapid decisions, and you do that hopefully through simulations, so you don't have to build actual things, and then the consumer response is not working as you think it should.
Yeah. Any follow-up on what Petter just shared? I'm thinking in regards to data and the decarbonization of transportation, what are the challenges and barriers that cities may encounter, and how can we overcome these challenges through different or new technology adoption? Petter, do you want to take that on?
Yeah, so it's very much about, it's very much about understanding that the different silos are actually connected to each other. So if you, for example, shift from normal vehicles to automated vehicles or scooter, that can actually shift the perspective from how the consumer react to that. So you really have to simulate, you have to collect the data, simulate the data, and then confirm the data, basically. And you need to, and the municipality have a lot of data, but you need to put them together in an understandable format and a visual format. Then you need to simulate it in another kind of game engine that we do, where you have all the movements from people, from cars, from automated vehicles, from particles, from sound, and then you have to confirm that. Right. So the simulation is actually the correct.
Yeah. Can you share a little bit about what Ucity is and what it is that you're simulating?
Yeah, so we simulate, for example, Toyota's small buses, and we do that because you need to know how you need population data to know where the platforms are, how they should be placed there, where they should be placed, how the route should be, and so on. So And you do that in the game engine, so it is visual for the public, but also for the decision makers. So you need to do it in a way that everybody can understand it, because planning is often done by experts, and it's not so easy to understand.
Yeah. Did you have a specific simulation for children too?
Yeah, we have in the Technical Museum, we have a great exhibition at the Technical Museum called Ucity, where we show off 2 of our technologies. One is kind of the tracking of the last stage, where we glue a skeleton on the people, so we don't send out any visual data from our edge device. So we track particles, sound, and movement, and then we, how do you say? Transform that to avatars in a game engine, so you can use that for game engines is great for doing simulations. You can train them, and you can simulate the different movements.
Yeah. And Helena, do you have any follow-up thoughts on barriers?
Okay, yeah. I would like to build especially what Maria was mentioning about, okay, when thinking about that, at best, we could have a positive urban experience if we can combine public-private activities and pilots and environments for leisure business and living as a whole. But at worst, we could focus too much on infrastructure and too little of what is actually smart. So it's and that is probably something that where we definitely need more collaboration. And quite often in cities, like you said, all the departments are in the different own silos and do their own development plans, but not thinking from a systemic and holistic point of view, because that kind of partial optimization is no benefit of us all. And definitely the data, technology, AI, they should serve people, not the other way around, and that we shouldn't forget that one. And so that was, but all in all, I would say that we would very much need to involve the private sector, because, well, public sector can provide the framework, we can provide regulation, hopefully supportive regulation, but all in all, in the end, companies are the ones who make the business and in the end implement. So having them on board when we are developing together with the citizens.
Yeah. And Maria, as part of Lindholmen, and what's your perspective on this?
Well, I definitely agree with Helena that we need to involve business as well. So that's side two. I think the problem is to really gather good data, so to see how we can use that and find incentives to gather that data that we need. And I think there are many possibilities, of course, but really finding the good examples to show why it's important to share data. I'm not sure it's necessary to have open data, but to find volunteer ways of sharing data so we can use it in a good way.
Yeah, and Helena?
Yeah, one additional point is that when we are thinking about the data, we should be also think about from the governance point of view, not to violate human rights. So that is also very crucial to keep that also in mind, how we build on data, what we collect, where we collect, how we collect.
Right, and it's so much easier to absorb something if it's an infographic or if it's displayed in a way that facilitates innovation at all levels. And what I appreciated what you said, Helena, in regards to youth, bringing in the kids in the planning stage and getting these fresh ideas all the way up to across the spectrum and all ages, all backgrounds into our planning processes. It takes time to plan that way, but hopefully we'll have something that's more resilient. So we also know that without measuring success, we can't move forward. So we need to find metrics and analytics the cities can use to monitor and cut greenhouse gas emissions further. How do you think these metrics will evolve over the coming years with even better access to big data and AI? Maria, do you have any thoughts?
Well, I think we need to think about what we really want to measure, because is it just the emissions in the cities? We need to think about where the fuel or the electricity is produced. We need to think about the materials in the vehicles. We need to think of so much more than just what is happening here and now. So I think expanding the views on the metrics is important, and is also something, well, we need to do that, of course. But not just measurements, we also need to do things to really dare to set the demands higher than we do right now.
Yeah. Petter?
Yeah, I mean, we're shifting from a kind of parking city to a pickup and delivery city, and we also change our life, how we work and how we live. So the statistical data is not relevant so much more, so we need to improve the decision making and make it more easy for the decision makers to be able to understand the different options, so we don't invest our few dollars in the wrong case. And of course, make it scalable. That's kind of, if you don't make it scalable, it's not gonna, how do you say, we can't do test sites or partial increments the whole time, so we need to make it scalable. So we need to have the correct data that is scalable in and simulation and confirm out, basically. And of course, show the decision makers and the kids. The kids are going to be the next generation. They understand the digital world much better through games and so on. So they are, our key audience for the next 10 years.
Yeah, right. Helena, any follow-up thoughts?
Yeah, I like the idea about widening the scope to larger this value chain. So not just focusing on some tinier part, however important that is, but having the larger perspective and the whole value chain. And that is crucial. And that is also something that cities can do if they want to do, because they have pretty much operation all in all, and they have all the information available if they want to do both public and private sources. But anyway, they can do that one. But then maybe additionally, a couple of topics you also better tackled it a little bit. But for instance, what do we need, for instance, from standardization point of view? How to enhance the interoperability of different systems, utilizing different kind of digital twins. You're probably more familiar on that one than myself. But different kind of e-governmental systems, regulatory systems and technologies, policies, and different kind of social sentiment analysis as well. So there are lots of things to do as well, not only focusing on some minor things.
Right, yeah. And I think something that has come across all morning is the importance for collaboration. And one of the biggest drivers for success is collaboration across sectors and across various levels of government and across the many levels of stakeholders. And so I'm wondering, can you share a bit about tools or strategies that you already use to convey or collect information, as well as any potential tools or strategies that you're looking forward to starting to use in regards to data and technology to make collaboration even more effective? Who wants to go first?
Yeah, I can go. I can give you some examples. So we work with Toyota and Kinto to how do you say, plan. I mean, one shared vehicle can actually take away in the US 9 to 14 parking spots. So that's a great tool to of course use that. But then the city need to understand that is happening and allow the privatization of some parking spots, for example, in the street. But that's also already happening with scooters, for example. And for example, shared mobility. So it's a little bit different between shared mobility and shared cars, basically. Shared mobility increase the cars on the street, and that actually raise the congestion in the city. So you have to think so what do we do? Or we threw in some bikes, bike lanes, and we solve it with the biking because everybody loves bikes. But then if you look at the data, you understand that bike stands for 1/3 of all the accidents, and 50% of them are serious accidents. So then you need to, of course, plan the biking lanes and how to do this transformation in a good way, so we don't have more accidents, for example.
Yeah, I agree. It's really, it's hard to, especially here in the United States, some of you may have spent time on Stanford, and it's like being in a European city, but you don't need to move far outside of Stanford to know how hard it is to get around on a bike. And so it's easy to implement a policy. It's so difficult to then secure the funds and have the political support to actually get something implemented, something that is substantial. And we're very, very far from that here in the United States, across the nation. Maria?
Well, maybe not connected to urban areas in specific, but we have a huge system demonstrator in Sweden where I think more than 60 companies are sharing data for heavy-duty electric vehicles to make sure we can put charging stations in the right places, to share data on the total cost of ownership for electric vehicles. We really can see how that make the business model interesting and see when and where it's possible to use electric heavy vehicles. And I think that is possible, the sharing of data is possible due to a neutral party that can really handle the data and share the data, and it gives incentives for the companies that are part of this project to share the data as well, because they will get something really good back. So a good example of where collaboration is necessary, but also makes it possible to do things that are really good.
Yeah, the importance of the neutral partner when it comes to data sharing. Yeah. Helena?
Yeah, okay. One thing what I'm really, really worried about is that we, not only probably in Finland, but on a global level, we don't utilize the innovation to maximum impact. So the scaling up doesn't happen in that extent that it should. And that is something that definitely we should find the ways how to do that one. And yeah, I don't have the answer to that one, but maybe that is one of the reasons why we are here. So hopefully we can generate some good solutions for that one. But I had a look on a couple of examples based on your question, and these are from Finland, from the cities of Tampere and Lahti, and where they're using different kind of data sources. And one is about a real-time transport snapshot, collecting information on both public and private sources, and as an example, providing information for cyclists, whether, like in our case, whether the snow has been shoveled away so you can really drive there, or whether there's a gravel or etc. So really collecting information, as an example for that one. And then another example is about the city logistics, so very much about the sustainable distribution transportation. So in order to decrease heavy traffic in the city center. And that means that there are different kind of route optimization, but also solutions for last mile, which is crucial, and in many cities it's very, very, very important. And then the third example is about automated driving, and this is very interesting as they're combining two different ways there. One is about how to use this simulation, digital twin simulation, how you could do that one, but then also we're doing in practice that testing the functionality really in automated driving vehicles and how they communicate with other vehicles to one another, and also how to link that, for instance, to weather forecasts. Yeah. So that kind of things are happening, and maybe joining the forces, the different kind of similar things are happening in different parts of the world, so how to join really the forces and make them services that could really fly.
Right, so the real-time component is so important, especially if we're, for instance, on a bike and need to move through a city with snow, where to go, etc. We also have digital twins, and is there anyone who wants to share anything about the opportunities that come around that?
I mean, I can do it because I'm working with that. So.
Thank you.
So digital twins have basically been made manually these days. So we see a lot of transformation between how this representation of the city is made, and we also see the LLMs and what they can create and how we can automate the creation of a digital twin in the city. But we also need to be aware of that the municipality, their data is very specific. So the digital twin is not just a visual representation, it's actually a tool that needs to be, in our case, down to 2 centimeters, like accuracy, because you can have a curbstone and then, the sewer line, in mismatch in these models. And then, of course, the visual representation is super important that the representation of the actual city looks like the city, so you can recognize it, and you have the movement of people, the similar movement of as you have in the actual city, because then you can relate to that.
What do you think the component, the AI component of the future of digital twins is? You think we'll advance fast here over the coming few years?
Yeah, I think the interface is going to shift between the professionals, like me, architect, to the prompting. Basically, you can prompt whatever you want in a city, so it do simulation, and you have different options that you can choose from, and it's going to be more visual for everybody to understand what kind of alternative is there.
Yeah. And Maria, any final thoughts on AI and potential risks, opportunities?
Yeah, well, I think, of course, it will be something that really helps development, really helps to find good ways of simulations, for example. I think that's a good point, because finding ways of testing solutions before they are made in the real world is a good thing, because then you can see where we want to adapt the solutions to something else, or maybe change the system in some ways. So, of course, it will be something that is really good.
Yeah, and Helena, final thought?
Yes, I'm very intrigued about new opportunities, these AIs and digitalization, and you name it. What offers? I'm definitely not a digital native person, have to say. I'm really clumsy with that one. But anyway, I'm intrigued about them, and I see the opportunities within that one. But I would still want to emphasize that we need to use those for a good purpose, yes, and keeping that as a tool for something, and not the target itself, but as a tool. And then I would really like to involve also the younger generation in all the development.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I think that's spot on. And I am so grateful to be up here on the stage with you. And I thank you so much. How about we give the panel a big round of applause? Thank you.